Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Tech with Alex Paja. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use eager loading to prevent N+1 query issues in a Laravel application. Let's get started. Yeah, it's been a while, but then good to be back. So what's N+1 query? The N+1 query is a problem that arises when several queries are executed rather than a single optimal query to retrieve related records. If N represents the number of records in the initial collection, this results in a total of N+1 queries. That's one for initial collection and an additional query for each related record. So what's the problem with N+1 query? Ideally, when you're building a small application, you really would not know that this is an issue. But then just imagine, for example, you're building an application that has over 1 million posts and 1 million comments. You realize that if each post triggers a separate query to retrieve its comments, the number of queries grows rapidly, causing significant delays, performance issues, timeouts, and high resource consumption. This unnecessary increase in database queries severely impacts performance, especially when dealing with large data sets. This is a Laravel 11 plugin application I built some time back, and then I usually use it for demo. You could find it in my repository. I'll leave the link in the comment section. So basically, this is the DB facade enable query, and at the end you just use get query down here. So I'm using that to catch to log the queries. So let's say we want to display all these posts and their related comments. So ideally what you could see around is the post and the all method. So this retrieves all the posts, and then for each of the posts there's an iteration through the comments, the related comments to that particular post. Now what happened here is that Eloquent will make one query for this and then make multiple queries for retrieving these comments. So this is one post. So for example, you will have 100 posts and then you have 100 comments. So and it's going to make one query to retrieve all the posts, and then it's going to make 100 queries to retrieve all the comments. So basically this idea of using comments to access comments is what we call lazy loading in Laravel. It can be used to retrieve the related records of a particular model. So when you come to post, for example, you will see that there is the comment. So this is a method here. So it says this post has many comments. With this method comment, you can access the comments that are related to each post. So let's head over to the browser so that I could show you what happens here. So if you come over here and then you refresh, so if you scroll down over here, yeah, so you realize that there's 101 queries that have been executed, like I said. So one query retrieves all the posts, then 100 queries receive all the comments, and that's quite a huge amount. So imagine you are dealing with 1 million records. That's going to be a lot. So I used the query log, like I said earlier, from the DB facade to actually log the number of queries. Or you could take a look at Laravel Telescope or Laravel Debugger for better display of these queries and how they function. And then if you want to learn about Laravel Telescope, I have a video on my YouTube channel where I explain how to use Laravel Telescope. The first approach to handling this N+1 query issue in Laravel is to use what we call eager loading. So eager loading in Laravel is a technique that retrieves related records in a single query, preventing the N+1 query problem and improving performance. So one of the methods of eager loading is what we call wait, the wait method. So I'll head back here to the VS Code and then just comment this out, and then just uncomment this. So this is what we call the wait. So this is what we call eager loading. So you are eager loading all of the comments related to this post. So I'm going to save, and then so I'm just going to comment this so I don't have multiple of these things. I just want to show you the number of queries that will be performed. So just refresh. I'm supposed to just lazy loading the comment, which actually leads to N+1 query issue. So this wait methods take care of that, and then so you could see that here we have just one here which retrieves the posts, and then this one retrieves the comment. So you can see that now, as opposed to when you do so let me comment this now, and then I'll just bring this up again. Let me just show you something quickly. So you see when let me just take this down, okay, so and then refresh. So you could see that for each of those comments to be performing, look at that, and then the time it takes to perform each of those queries. You could see that now. So the first one is it goes to the post, then the subsequent queries it to be making query to the comments table for every of those to retrieve the related comments for that particular post, which actually takes a lot of time. When you use the wait method here, it actually just performs just two queries. So one retrieves a post, the second query retrieves all the comments. Okay, so that's just so you can see the time it spends to get this done. There are other alternative approach to managing all of these issues. You could do select. So for example, if you come to this place and then you say select title content, and then you just want to display the title and content. So you realize that because the ID was not selected, these comments will not be accessed. To head over the browser, refresh. So you could see that it only performs one query because that ID was not selected. So if you want to, this is another way to cater for this. If you don't want this method to be lazy loaded, you can actually just ignore selecting the ID and then that takes care of it. So select is another way to avoid n+1 query issues. So you could also use the whereas. So the whereas basically is just as though you are saying there's a possibility there are posts that don't have comments. So the whereas simply means fetch all posts where it has comments with their comments. So if I save this and then refresh here, it only performs just two queries. You see that now? So let me just comment this and then comment this. So you see that it performs just two queries. This first one to retrieve all posts. You see, select star from post where exists, comment post.id equals to comments the post underscore id. Then it fetches all of the comments from there. So this is how the warehouse function, and then it's quite another approach you can use to handle n+1 query issue. So another alternative approach to handling n+1 query issues is to use the where clause. So if you come to a post, for example, you see that there is a field, a boolean column called status, which is default to 1 or 0, value 0, which means true or false. So by default, any post that is created can be marked as true and some other can be marked as false. So with this now, you can actually narrow down the number of posts that can be queried. So it is quite better to apply this where condition because it reduces the number of posts that will be retrieved before you do the whereas and then with comment. So this is a better way to write efficient queries. So if I save and hand over to the browser and refresh, you could see that it is retrieving status post with status 1. You see that now? So if I come back here and say false and I refresh, you see that there is no post with a false status. This is another way to handle retrieval of records to avoid pulling huge amount of data. So just comment this. Just some side note here, just like we did for select previously. So you could actually, when you are using the with method, you can specify the columns that are needed. Say, for example, these comments they will have like maybe 5-6 columns and you don't want to retrieve all of them. So this can also improve the performance of your query. So here I say select ID, post ID and the body, and then just return it. So select these few things. I can even just remove created at. So probably you don't need just much. So this is just a better way to write more efficient queries. So if I refresh and then I come over here, you could see for each query, for each comment, it picks the ID, the post ID and the body. There are other columns in the comments table that is being ignored. Like I said, I removed created as you could see. So the performance of this query is not the same as when you are dealing with the performance here is not the same with when you just do post whereas it is more heavy. So if I do like this now, for example, let me just take off this where this select and do whereas, you could see that it's going to retrieve more records than is needed. You see that now? So it is important for you to actually specify what you need whenever you are writing queries so that it will perform better. Okay, yeah. So the next is you could also use plug. When retrieving a single column from a table, you can use the plug method, which executes a single query and helps prevent the n+1 query problem. So I will just comment this out. So when I I just want to pick only the titles. Yeah, I'll just save and then refresh. So you see it returns only the titles. So this, even though I am iterating through it, it won't actually make multiple queries here because I'm just doing something quite a bit simple here. So you could see this also helps to prevent n+1 query problem. So another way is you could see sometimes just for a developer to retrieve, you just want to count all the posts in a particular table. Instead of using all method, then you count. This loads all record into memory before counting it, which is not efficient. So if I save and I refresh here, you see it's going to return 100. So instead of using the all method before using the count in Laravel, you can actually just do count like you see here, and then basically performs the same thing. So this is more efficient than this. There's no need to use the all method if you just want to count, if you want to only count the number of posts in the table. Now, say for example, you want to count each comment for a particular post. So if you are counting that inside the for loop, it's going to perform multiple queries, and then it's going to be resource intense. So like you see here, this is post, get post, and then while you are iterating through the post, you are actually loading the counting of the comments, and then you are returning it. So I'm going to save that and then run that here. You could see it performs 101 queries, right? So the first one, it gets, you see, select count start from comments, blah blah blah, and then select start from comments, and then like that up until the end. But instead of doing this, which actually leads to n+1 query, you can actually just do the with count comment, and then you come over here. When iterating through each post, you can basically just return the comments count. So if I refresh, you could see that it is just performing just one query. You see that now, way better than just having to, while iterating through posts, you're actually counting. You load the count and then you begin to count them. So so by using with count, you can actually count related. You can count the comments that are related to each post without having to use the load count, which is quite resource intense, which can also lead to n+1 query issue. Now, you can prevent lazy loading because, like I said, lazy loading is an approach that actually helps you to get related records from a model. So you could do in a model like posts, so you could lazy load comments. So there's a way to prevent it from happening. So when you come to app service provider in your Laravel application, you can add prevent lazy loading when the app is not on production, so that you can actually catch the issues. The reason why you have to do this on dev is because so that you can know what is happening and it doesn't happen on your production application, because it can break the application. So if I come back here now and I comment this out, so same thing we were doing before, I just want to try it again. You see that it will throw an error. You see that now it says attempted to lazy load comment on model app models post, but lazy loading is disabled. You can use this to ensure that no part of your application is going to result to n+1 query issues, because it can be very, very disgusting for you to use an application that is quite slow because of n+1 query issues. So Laravel's eager loading with method is a powerful solution to the n+1 issue. It reduces the number of queries and improves application performance. That being said, let me know what you think about n+1 query issue in the comment section. Don't forget to like and share the video. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly click the subscribe button. Until next time, bye.